So President-elect Duterte actually talked about the killing of journalists, and AFP, which Rappler carried, actually said that did he condone? It was a concession to it.
Yeah, I think the way his message and the way he articulated, the way it was received, and the way it's been magnified might, in some respects, throw us down the wrong scent altogether. I don't think we heard the president-elect announce the beginning of the killing of journalists, or that somehow the law would be blind to it and the Constitution would not protect these people in that way. Why do I say this? Is because, unfortunately, the Philippines is second in the league of shame of journalists being killed with impunity. And not just journalists. You have a dreadful situation here where, to this day, the person who killed the president's father has not been caught. I mean, this goes to the heart of and soul of this country, in terms of what actually happens when people commit these atrocities and they're not held to account. It basically means it is open season, open house here.
Yeah.
That's the reality. So if you cross somebody, one way or another, the easiest thing to do is to just take him out. It solves a lot of issues. The Maguindanao massacre.
Yes.
I was here in 2009 arguing for the peace process to remain on track and for people not to react to what actually happened. So we're not talking about a new phenomena that President-elect Duterte is suddenly going to unleash. Secondly, whether you agree or disagree with a journalist, there are no circumstances under which anybody can sanction assassination. It's simply not there. And I think why this issue has become electric is that the very instrument through which leaders communicate is being attacked. And I'm not saying you have to be friendly with your journalists, but you're basically the inference there is that and therefore news of that hit Washington, London, and everywhere else simultaneously. We in the Commonwealth, for example, have a long record of attacking our own membership on freedom of the press. We commemorate freedom of press as a particular day where we remember those who have died.
Yes.
And in some cases, they have become, when we had the Al Jazeera.
Yes.
You can go on and on and on.
Right.
I mean, in a way, when you see an attack on a journalist, you're seeing the disease of that country being magnified in front of you. That is what's rotten.
Right.
And because it's been perpetrated on a journalist, it is amplified because if some poor person, a homeless person, is lying dead in a ditch, you may stop to pause and look mawkishly and drive on. A journalist dies, it is news. So in that sense, I think I can understand the depth of feeling. But turning it the other way around, I also said with a group of journalists yesterday that journalists also in the Philippines and elsewhere need to be a bit more honest about what they're doing. If your trip to X, Y, and Z was fully paid for and funded, say so.
The transparency of it, right?
If you're writing on behalf of somebody from a position of an advocacy, say so. If it is a paid advertorial, put it in a box with rings on it and say it's an advert. Do not pretend that it is journalism. If you're going to accuse somebody of something, make sure you get your facts straight.
Correct.
And subject yourself to libel, etc., with commensurate penalties, so that you have to be correct in what you do. If you make a mistake, you have to have the courage to come back and say, I got that one wrong.
I think what was alarming to many about what President-elect Duterte said is that he rationalized the killing of journalists, certainly in the Maguindanao massacre, right? By rationalizing it, seemed to also declare it was okay to kill journalists.
I'm not aware of the full context of what he said and how he said it. I cannot imagine for a moment that
would be what he meant. Yeah.
It just doesn't bear thinking about.
Because if you look at it from his perspective, he was, in his mind, being honest. But again, his critics will say that the reason why that became electric is that then kind of could condone violence.
The nearest I can come to interpreting it, and this is a very loose interpretation, is a description of why somebody might kill a journalist.
Correct. Correct.
I don't think that's the same thing,
As saying go and do it.
go and do it, or it's justified. I honestly do not believe that that was what was being. I cannot imagine anybody in any position of responsibility coming up with that as an agreed line. I mean, I'm not even sure in the darkest periods of Nazi Germany, anybody would actually proclaim that was. They did horrible things, but I don't think they stood up in a platform and said they were going to do these horrible things.